knows how you come across somebody once in a while you shouldn't have messed with. That's me.
I am not an African American.
You're Oreo cookie, white in the inside and black on the outside.
I don't have an afro, I have an Amerifro.
Talking that idiotic stuff you talk about, I will slap you.
Go ahead, make my day.
Black at the ace of spades, but 100% American.
Heard around the world by everybody and their mama. The Lee Peterson Radio Show.
Uniting the races with truth instead of dividing them with lies. We're also rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man.
New York City pays their janitors an absurd amount of money because of the union. You could take one janitor and hire 30-some kids to work in the school for the price of one janitor, and those 30 kids would be a lot less likely to drop out. They would actually have money in their pocket. They'd learn to show up for work. They could do light janitorial duty. They could work in the cafeteria. They could work in the front office. They could work in the library. They'd be getting money, which is a good thing if you're poor. Only the elites despise earning money.
Well, Black Americans not all but most, had a hissy fit about that. How dare you say that our children should work? Food stamps are better. And so the next morning, I said on my show that I would take it a little further. When I become president of this great nation, the number 8 thing that I would do is send most Black Americans back to the plantation so I can teach them work ethics. And I was interviewed that afternoon by the Huffington Post, a reporter from the Huffington Post, and it went out there, and blacks and liberal whites had a hissy fit. How dare you tell black people that they should work? I have with me one of those people who are in disagreement with me about that, Dr. Dwight Owens. He is a psychiatrist out of Atlanta, Georgia, and he specializes in working with at-risk black males with mental illness. He wrote an article on his website at AskDrO.com. Dr. Owens, welcome to the show, sir.
Hi, how are you?
All is well. Thank you for coming on.
Mm-hmm.
You wrote an article on your website called Reverend Lee Peterson Want Blacks Back on the Plantation. In that article, you said that Newt Gingrich and Peterson are delusional. What's delusional about what we said? What is it that you're disagreeing with?
Well, delusional is a fixed false belief. I'm a psychiatrist, board certified. It's a fixed false belief where people have a belief system that they believe that something is true that is not in concert with the rest of the reality of the world. I think that to say work is one thing, but to say go back to the plantation is another thing. I think being from Georgia, I have probably a little bit more experience with Newt Gingrich than you would have, and I know exactly what he's all about.
What is he about?
And first of all, this is a Republican state. It's very racist. Although Atlanta is here, we're not really in, African Americans here do well, but we're not really in control of Georgia as a whole. And a lot of people have that misnomer that, Atlanta is black, blah, 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 blah. But if you really look at the demographics of Atlanta have changed drastically since the time when Martin Luther King and David Abernathy were maybe walking around. It's much different than that. But I think that... You want
black people to be in control of Atlanta totally?
I know that that's not going to be the case.
Is that what you want?
That has been in the past where we did have a number of black politicians in leadership in Atlanta.
But do you want them to completely control? You want blacks to completely control Atlanta?
No. What I want is I want everybody, whether black, Latino, white, green, or yellow, to have their fair opportunities.
Well, when blacks were in control of Atlanta, they were turning it into a ghetto, just as they've done with Detroit, Gary, Indiana, South Side of Chicago. So they start calling out. They start calling out for whites to come and help.
Have you been to Atlanta lately
I have.
to see what Atlanta looks like? Well, clearly Atlanta is not a ghetto.
No, not now, because they're begging white people to come back.
That is not true.
That is true.
And I think a lot of your statements are not based in any fact; they're based in rhetoric.
No,
I mean,
it's true.
If you look at how Atlanta has changed over the past 20, 25 years. That's why whites are now coming back.
Because whites are taking
of what
over
the black
again.
leadership has done in the time that they were in control. So, I mean, you know, the same thing that happened in Chicago. You know, once blacks build it back up, do what they have to do, as we've done with America, the whites come and take over.
You're
But I think
delusional.
to get back to your point, when you look at the welfare statistics, I mean, your whole statement was crazy. 46 million people live in poverty, according to the American 2010 census. How many of those people you think were black?
The
You
reality,
have no idea.
Hold on. Hey, hold on.
You have no idea.
Hold on. The
How many were
reality
actually
is,
black?
let's get
Of
down
the
to
46
hold
million
on.
people
Hey,
living in poverty.
hey,
How many were black?
hold on, sir. Hold on. Black Americans are 13% of the population.
I know that.
40% of them are relying on government. That's ridiculous.
That is not true.
That is true.
That is not
That
true.
is absolute truth.
Give me your data and
That
give me your
is
source.
absolute truth.
Give
And
me your
The
data
one thing
and give me
hold
your
on a
source.
minute. Hold on. The one thing I will not do with you in this conversation, whenever we talk about what's wrong with black folks, you always want to bring in white people. That's not going to
No,
help.
I asked you to
That's
give me
not
your
going to
data. I
help
told
black
you
people
how
by
many-
pointing out
how
someone
many
else's
people were
fault.
living in poverty.
Let me take a break. Hold on. Let me take a break. 888-775-3773. Back in a moment. 888-775-3773. 888-77-JESSE. Liberals, especially black liberals, are having a hissy fit because Newt and I suggest that blacks learn the character of working. What's wrong with that?
I think that if I look at the statement, he said that working as a janitor would build character.
Yes.
And there's just no data to support that. I think that Newt Gingrich, number one, has not had a lot of opportunity to really be in African-American neighborhoods. So he probably wouldn't know what builds characters. I'm not against young people working, whether that is at McDonald's, whether that's as a janitor, or whatever they choose to do. But I think to just equate lack of work with being dependent upon a governmental agency is just making a blanket statement.
Let me just ask,
here's the other.
You're saying, Dr. Owens, that you need data. Owens, that you need data to show that working as a janitor build character. You don't automatically know that will build character.
I'm a board certified psychiatrist, and I've never and depending on the different occupations, and there's a perception of different occupations, and I just don't see that occupation as being one that will automatically build character or build self-esteem.
And the only way,
I just
are
don't.
you saying that the only way that you would believe that is that you need data?
I'm telling you that, yes. I don't think you can make blanket statements
That's
about
insane.
any.
But see,
what I'm
due to
saying is
your
if you take-
anger,
if you
sir,
take-
due to
if you
your
take a
anger and your
cohort-
racist attitude toward white Americans, that's what you're hearing.
I
That's
have
not
my
what
pra-
That's not
Brother,
what we are saying.
Let me tell you something, brother. My practice is predominantly non-African American.
That doesn't
just
mean
so
you're
you'll
not.
know.
That doesn't
So
mean
for
that
me-
you're
for
not.
you to make the
That doesn't mean
accusation
that you're not a
I'm
racist.
It's asinine.
That doesn't mean you're not a
It's
racist.
asinine.
I know.
mean,
I
if you
don't
were to
need
take
facts.
If you
I
went
don't
into an
need.
inner city and took a cohort of students and you actually followed them and tracked them over 5-10 year period and came back and said, this is what happened. This built character. This is how they felt after working as a janitor.
The
then
one
I would
thing-
listen to you.
The one thing I know for sure.
Go ahead.
Black children has more of a chance of building character by working as a janitor than they do as a doctor, because look, you're like insane. You can't, everything has to be data for you. You've lost all of your
Let
common
me share
sense.
with you. Black
And
children,
you don't,
if they're educated,
you don't
if
believe
they're
that hard
educated
work
and
will build
financially
it.
literate, that will build character.
No, it won't.
Education and financial literacy builds character.
That's
not
not-
working as a janitor.
That's not necessarily true. Look at
That's
Barack Obama.
foolishness.
Barack
That's foolishness.
Obama is educated. He lacked character.
Well, that's your opinion.
No, that's the truth.
That is one man's opinion about the president of the United States. And one thing about, you will not insult Barack Obama with me. You may do with your other whatever counterparts, but that won't happen. That's unacceptable.
What do you mean by that?
I know you don't too much care for him. That is your particular whatever, but you will not with me.
Hold on a minute, sir. Oh, God. We'll be back and take some calls. Doctor, I'm glad you came back on the phone. You hung up on us. You about to run?
No, I just, we're not going to talk about the person you were about to start with. I'm not going to tolerate that.
Tolerate
that's
what?
That's not what we're here to talk about. We're going to talk about.
You shouldn't be so sensitive.
Talk about the point we want to talk about, and I know it's your show, but we're not.
Oh, you mean like Obama lacking character? Define character for me.
I think you lack character. I think you lack character.
Define character.
I think you lack character.
Define it for me.
The essence of who you are. I think you're totally confused as a person, as a black man. And I think you're used by a different segment of America to make these asinine statements, and you're laughing. And it's hideous some of the stuff you say.
How am I different as a black man?
Well, I don't even know if you're black.
No, I'm as black as the Ace of Spades.
According to your picture, you look like you are colored, but I don't know what you are. But
I'm white on the inside, but black on the outside.
Blacks working as janitors will build character.
No, define character. Hey,
crazy.
Hey, calm down. Define character for me.
I'm very calm.
Define character.
I'm very calm.
Doctor, define character for me.
We're not here for a spelling test or definition, and I will probably be more equipped as a psychiatrist to define character than you would.
Okay, go ahead, define
whatever
it.
You do.
Define it for me.
Right? So I will be more equipped to do that.
Okay, then define it.
For you.
Define it for me.
So by the fact that
you don't know what it is.
You are the person that should be giving the definitions as well as whatever,
Lord.
Right?
You don't know what it is, right?
I'm a very smart black man.
You're not acting like it right now.
Are very ignorant. And then you talking about going back to the plantation because you come off the plantation.
So you're not going to define character for me because you don't know what it is, right?
I'm not going to define anything for you because that's not why I'm here. I'm not here to do a
But we are talking about that. You and I agree that most black people lack character. It's not that they're poor.
Maybe most black people that lack character. You cannot take and pull.
You realize
that
you are not. Group. You realize you're not communicating very well right now, right?
Well, because when you make statements,
and you're the one you're the doctor. You're supposed to know how. You're a psychiatrist. You're supposed to know how to
communicate very well.
You're doing awful right now.
When you're talking to somebody that's psychotic,
were you raised by your mother?
You have to help a psychotic person get their form of their thinking straight.
Dr.
Because
Owens.
if I don't help you, then I'm not doing my job as a psychiatrist.
Were you raised by your mother?
How long have you been floridly psychotic?
Were you raised by your mother?
How long have you been floridly psychotic?
This man is insane.
Right.
You sound like a black. You sound like a black Michelle Obama.
Psychotic, and I think you have absolutely no depth to who you really are. Because even if you are all that you say you are, according to your websites or whatever you pretend to be, you still wouldn't make those kind of statements towards your race of people.
I would tell the truth, unlike you.
I tell the truth all the time.
No, you don't. You're a man of lies.
Speaking, I go into different places. I motivate students.
How impressive.
I'm here to see me.
You're not answering any questions, sir. You're a coward.
Oh, well, I mean, that's your opinion. But
that's the truth.
You're thoroughly psychotic. So how do you communicate with a person who's psychotic?
So you're not going to answer any questions?
No, because you're psychotic and delusional.
Oh, Lord.
And you make absolutely no sense. And nobody has ever told you that you're psychotic, but I'm qualified to do that, and there's something wrong with your thinking. It's not based in reality.
Oh, God.
And if it was based in reality, then maybe
what have I said that's not true?
Now you want to ask about me defining the word character, and we've been in the discussion for over 20 minutes. If that's something you want to know, you get a basis for the definition in the beginning. Then you want to know who raised me. Then you tell me
because you're acting like a black female.
White people.
You're acting like a black. You're acting like a black.
About black people.
You're acting like a black angry female.
I haven't mentioned anything about a white person. The conversation has been based in the basic concept of you making these asinine statements that make no sense.
This guy pretended that he wanted to come on my show and disagree with Newt and I. He sounded like an angry black female. That's all you're doing, sir. You're really making an idiot of yourself right now.
Disagree. I do not believe.
So let me do this. You have absolutely wasted my producer time. You wasted my time. You're an angry black female.
Right. Well, you called me right, and then you called me back. I didn't.
Yeah, because you wrote this dumb article in disagreement, and I thought you would have the know-how to.
I didn't call you right.
I thought you would have the know-how to have a discussion, but you just sound like an angry woman. You sound like my ex-wife if I had one.
You called me right.
Okay, we're gonna let this guy go. We're gonna let you go, so you wasted my time. All right, goodbye. Man, I should have asked him if he was married. This guy is a woman. You heard him. He sounded just like an angry black female.
This has been the Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show, produced by Bond Action. To access the full version of this show, visit us on the web at bondaction.org.